The truth is, the average American just is not doing enough when it comes to saving and investing for their retirement. And this is honestly a huge issue that's going to start to negatively impact a lot of people as they get older and as they start to make a plan for their post working life. The sad truth is that a lot of people are probably going to have to work for their entire lives, or they'll at least have to work up until their health prevents them from doing so. And what do people do in that scenario once they get to the point that they're no longer able to work? Well, I don't know, but that's a very scary possibility for a lot of people. According to the Federal Reserve's 2022 study of consumer finances, the median retirement savings for US families is $87,000. Now, I'm definitely glad this number is greater than zero, but $87,000 probably means that you're behind on investing for your retirement unless you're in your 20s or maybe your 30s. It may seem like a lot of money right now, but that money is going to go much faster than you think if you're depending on it to live. The good news is that the mistakes that lead to not being able to retire are completely avoidable. It just takes a little bit of time to educate yourself and to establish some good habits when it comes to personal finance. So for this video, I wanted to talk about why the average American is so bad at investing in their retirement, and I also want to talk about some of the ways that you can avoid these mistakes. And that starts with hitting the subscribe button. It really helps out the channel. I'd really appreciate it, so thanks. Now, it's no secret that the average American loves to spend money. We just love our stuff, myself included sometimes. But in quarter four of 2023, the average credit card debt in America rose to $6,360, which is an all-time high. Now, that amount might not seem like a lot, but it really worries me because even having any credit card debt likely means that someone is spending their entire paycheck because they don't have any excess to pay those credit cards off, which also means that they're not freeing up any of that income for investing or saving for the future. And on top of that, that amount of debt is even worse when you consider the predatory high interest rates that are associated with it. The sad truth is that our economy is propped up by debt. As companies push their consumer products on us, there's usually always a financing option that allows us to purchase it right now, even if we cannot afford it. Credit cards are definitely a common form of this, but we've also seen the rise of buy now, pay later services, which allow you to pay for something over time instead of just purchasing it right up front. But if you don't pay it back by the time specified in your agreement, then you will be charged interest. But even if you pay it on time, you're still likely using buy now, pay later because you don't have the money up front to buy something. So it's still a bad thing. According to the Motley Fool, 35% of Americans have used buy now, pay later at some point in their lives. Now, the issue with rampant consumerism is that, like I said, it means that we're just using all of our income to buy stupid stuff that's not going to last anyway. We're not doing any planning ahead to set ourselves up financially. And when we consider loans and credit cards, we realize that those things just allow us to keep going, even if we don't have the income to buy something we want. And if you're not making a budget and you're not being very responsible with your money, it's easy to spend all of it and wonder where it all went at the end of the month, which again means you're not investing. So that's the first way that you can improve your investing and just your personal finances overall. You have to set a budget and you have to stick to it. And make sure part of that budget is dedicated toward retirement investing. You should be investing at least 15% of your income towards your retirement. But if you're able to and you can bump that up to 20%, I think that's ideal and is really going to allow you to build up a nice nest egg. Now, a great way that you can build this habit of regularly investing every month is to do it upfront and to automate it. The easiest way to do that is to enroll in your company's 401k program because you set how much of your income you want to contribute to retirement, and then every paycheck it will automatically withdraw that and put it into your 401k. So the money never even hits your bank account, meaning you won't even be tempted to spend it. And if you don't have access to a 401k program, then you can still set up automatic contributions with pretty much any other investment account. But to summarize all of that, stop spending money on crap you don't need, set a budget, stick to it, and automate your investing so that you're not even tempted to spend that money. All right, now I'm gonna call out all of my procrastinators watching this video. And if you are, that's okay, because I can definitely be guilty of procrastinating from time to time. But a problem I see specifically with people in their 20s is that retirement seems so far off. And because of that, it's not even on their radar. And if it is on the radar, a lot of people have the mindset that it's super far away. I have plenty of time to catch up, and so I'm not going to invest any money right now. In fact, a lot of people are engaging in a practice that they call soft saving, which I guess is essentially handling your money in a way that's less focused on long-term goals and is more focused on shorter-term goals and living in the moment. And I'm sorry, but soft saving is probably one of the stupidest terms I've heard of. If you decide to spend all of your money now instead of setting yourself up financially for the future, then you are not saving. So don't even use that word. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that you should enjoy life. You should engage in hobbies, you should travel, and you should have fun while you're young. That's why we focus on personal finances, so that you can set up your money in the way that will allow you to live your best life. But you don't want to enjoy life so much that it's at the expense of your future self, because you will end up regretting it. You have to remember that when you're young, a little bit of investing actually goes a long way, and that's because of compound interest. And it actually might seem counterintuitive, but the earlier you start investing, the less you're going to have to sacrifice to achieve a fully funded retirement. To demonstrate the power of compound interest, let's look at these numbers. I wanted to calculate what $1 invested would be worth at retirement age, assuming you invested that dollar at different ages throughout your life. And for this, we're going to assume an average rate of return of 8%. So for each dollar that you invest at age 20, it would be worth $31.92 by the time you reached age 65, which is the typical retirement age for most people. Now, if we jump forward just 10 years to age 30, each dollar you invest at age 30 would be worth $14.79 at age 65. And that's right, waiting just one decade means that every dollar invested then is worth less than half of what it would have been previously. And we see that number just get lower and lower. Each dollar invested at age 40 would be worth $6.85 by the time you got to age 65, which is still a great multiplier. There's still a lot you can earn from compound interest even in your 40s. But I hope this helped demonstrate why it's absolutely critical to get started as soon as possible, and why if you're in your 20s, you have an awesome opportunity to take advantage of this. So if you're holding off on investing because you're young and you think you have a lot of time to make it up, then you're wrong, and you need to reframe your mindset to prioritize investing because you're young. And make sure you hit that subscribe button. Again, I really appreciate it. It really helps out the channel, so thanks. So if you haven't watched the channel for a while, you've probably heard that I'm not the biggest fan of Social Security. More specifically, I'm not the biggest fan of relying solely on Social Security when it comes to funding your retirement. And I'm not opposed to having benefits in place for people that need them. But I think a lot of people just fall into the trap of depending on Social Security to support them later in life. And they just depend on that instead of taking matters into their own hands and investing and setting up their own retirement fund. And there's a couple specific reasons why I'm opposed to relying solely on Social Security when it comes to retirement. And number one is that Social Security is running out of funding. According to the May 2024 Social Security Trustees Report, the funds that pay for these Social Security benefits are on track to be fully depleted by 2035. Now, before you panic, I do not think that Social Security is going to go away completely. I'm sure the government will step in and find some way to bail it out and keep it going. But I would not be surprised if we saw major changes in who is eligible for Social Security and how much the benefit actually pays out. Because, for example, let's say you depend on Social Security, you get to retirement age, and then you figure out the benefit's been cut in half. Or you figure out that they've actually pushed the eligible retirement age back, so you have to keep working until you hit that age. And who knows if that's actually going to happen? The reality is that nobody right now knows what that is going to look like by the time we reach retirement. But that's why you cannot rely on it solely, because you have no control over what's going to happen with it. You have to take matters into your hands, do some planning, and invest so that you can have your own retirement fund. And the other issue is that even if Social Security exists right now, it's probably not going to be enough for you to live off of. In fact, the average Social Security benefit payment in March of 2024 was just a little over $1,800. Now, if you already have a paid off home, you may be able to scrape by on this amount, but it's definitely not going to provide a life of luxury. And if you still have to pay for your housing, then I don't even know how you would survive on this. So at the end of the day, Social Security should not be your entire retirement plan. If you invest for yourself, then you will be in complete control of when you can actually retire, and you'll have more control over what your quality of life is going to look like in retirement. All right, now all of those reasons we just talked about are reasons why Americans are not investing. This next one is for Americans that are investing but are making a huge mistake. A common myth I see is that when you start investing, you need to know which companies to invest in, and you have to pick those actual company stocks yourself. A lot of people also think that if they pick their own stocks and manage their own portfolio, they'll be able to beat and outperform general market indices like the S&P 500. And some may get really complicated and go down the path of trading options and other financial derivatives. And this is usually in the hopes of trying to get rich quick and thinking that they can outsmart the market. And the unfortunate reality is that most people who pick their own stocks and manage their portfolio are actually going to underperform the market throughout the long term. In fact, according to the most recent Spiva report, almost 88% of actively managed investment funds fail to outperform the S&P 500 over the long term. And I just want to clarify, that statistic is not referring to everyday people picking their own stocks. It's referring to active investment professionals who are trained and who do this for a living. A vast majority of them fail to beat the general market. So if the pros are unable to find a scheme that's going to allow them to overperform, then why would the average investor think that they're able to do just that? The truth is that the average investor, myself included, would just be better off by investing in overall market index funds. And specifically, I like index funds that track the overall performance of the US economy. I like the S&P 500, and I like to keep my investing very simple. And doing this is also going to help with a very similar issue, which is paralysis of the analysis. Like I already mentioned briefly, investing can be very complicated, and there's a lot of options out there when it comes to either investing accounts, retirement accounts, or whether we're talking about, picking your own stocks and your own investments. There's so many things you can invest in. And I honestly think that's a big reason why people hold off on investing. They either spend too much time researching and never actually take action, or the countless options actually scare them because they feel like they're going to make a mistake and lose out on money. And honestly, if I had to pick my own stocks and manage my portfolio, I would be very overwhelmed. And that's why index funds are probably going to be your best friend, because again, they track the overall performance of a specific economy or a specific industry, which is going to keep it much more simple on your end. And as long as you're investing in safe, low-fee index funds, then it's more likely that just getting started is going to benefit you much more in the long run than holding out because you're trying to optimize and find the exact best solution. I'm not saying that you should go in blind. I'm just saying you don't want to miss out because you were overthinking it and you never got around to actually investing any money. But anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Let me know down in the comments, do you agree with what I said in this video? Why do you think the average American has a hard time when it comes to investing? I want to hear about it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you leave a like on the video, and we'll see you in the next one.